Ose neje yoka. We'll be waiting to hear what you want to say to complete the sentence. Neje yoka gini mere. Okay? Good. But here, all is telling us now eje yoka. And that's it. Alright. Ose na eje yoka. Biko inwa ajuju tiyera yeba o. So let's remove this. Ana m achọ ndị ga-enye m ntụpụta izu ụzọ ọzọ anyị nwere ike iji lebara isiokwu a bụ nnọchiaha anya ka o nwee ike ịdabapụ nke ọma. It is quite touchy, okay? So I need your advice. Any other way you think we can look at it? You know, any other method you have in mind that we can use in discussing this topic, please let me know. While we continue to Beatrice, thank you. So while we continue to dwell on this is because it creates a huge problem. So amongst us here now, you see how much we are learning, because we are still getting, you know, what is not correctly written. So that is why we keep like coming back to this. The second sentence I want to go. Ekwekọ ama agba. Ekwekọ ama agba. He or she said they went to church yesterday. Okay, he or she is all. And they that you are talking about, is it the plural of he or she? Nena, I would like to know that. The they there, is it the plural of he or she? The singular, okay. He or she is a singular, and they there, like America uses it today also, is a singular as well. If that be the case, that means osina o j or o j oka. Osina o j oka. But plural will be osina ha a j oka. Now, if it is they, that is they that we do not know, because what you said falls under what we've already described. They that we do not know, it is a j-oka, because we don't know that day. But if it is they that is springing up from the he or she, as you use it, it is still osino j-oka, the third person pronoun, okay? Osina o j-oka, unyahu, okay? Which is o and o. Osina o j-oka. Alright. Ekwekọ ama agba. N'ahịrịokwu a enweghị ebe nwere nnọchiaha. There's no pronoun here. So there's nothing to write apart. The first one, ekwe. Ekwe is a noun. It's gong, right? Ko, verb. And Nkoli, do good. You're welcome. You came late. Ama agba. Agba is a verb, and it has a prefix. Okay, so that is why everything is written together. Ekwekọ ama agba. Ndị nọ na YouTube na anaghị enyetukwara anyị aka ndị TikTok na-enye anyị na-eweliri anyị aka elu na-etinye anyị aka n'akara ịhụnanya. Yeah, do good, you're welcome. All right, so it's important for us to do that. Thank you. Appreciate it. Right. Ekwe, when the gong plays on its own, what happens? There is an expectation of, information. When you hear the gong, when you hear the wooden gong, ekwe, there is an expectation that something is being communicated. So, obone ekwe puo, I know the ekwe, I can eche, gini ke ekwe na ekuru. Why is a gong being beaten? There's something that will follow it. You don't just play ekwe, whether it's ikoro or just the ordinary ekwe. There is ama. There is a communication, an information coming down from eze maọbụ ndị obodo and all of that. Okay, all right. Biko inwe ajụjụ tinye ya ebe ahụ. We are going to be happy to answer your question. Right. Ekwekọ ama agba enweghị Nnọchiaha nọ na ya. Nobody is represented here, so there's nothing to write apart. Ekwe does not have a pronoun. It does not have a prefix. It's a noun. Ọ bụ aha. Ekwe, anyị ma ihe ọ bụ. Ekwe o, ekwe o, ekwe o, ekwe. All right. Who is interested in contacting? Okay. Right. Then ama. Agba. Agba is a verb and it has a prefix. So that is why we have. So you work for a eba. Ba, and it's a verb. So it doesn't have a pronoun. All right. So this is the correct way. And nideria deteria. Ndewo odoze akuchinwe. Ina bali nkuku for responding and responding and responding. So mmadụ emekwarala gị anya ukwu mgbe ị ga na-enweta ihe nrite site na mgbalị gị ebe a. Thank you. You encourage us here. All right. Nke ise. I hope we've written this down. The fifth example. Yeah. Eje eje. Agaghị aga. Adịghị mma. This is me creating confusion in your head. Eje eje, agaghị aga, adịghị mma. All right, let's tackle it. Let me know how much we've known this. Eje eje, agaghị aga, adịghị mma. Aya, osile, ụmụafọ Igbo. Okay. Do good. You see, I am jine beg makage. Eje eje, agaghị aga, adịghị mma. Neka, eje eje, agaghị aga, adịghị mma. Father, eje eje, agaghị aga, adịghị mma. Ndewonu ụmụafọ Igbo unu anwa. Unu na-agbalị. Yeah. Eje eje, agaghị aga, adịghị mma. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Lady. Ndewo, eje eje, agaghị aga, adịghị mma. Chinwe, eje eje, agaghị aga, adịghị mma. Beatrice, eje eje, agaghị aga, adịghị mma. Biko ndị niile si n'otu ndị nkuzi Igbo mee ka mara. I've seen you do good. Mrs. Chinwe, Mrs. Ugoke, and Chidimma. All right, eje eje, agaghị aga, adịghị mma. Thank you. Unemela. Right. Yeah. Ọtụtụ ndị ka m hụrụ dere ya otu a. All right, lady ndewo. Gịnị bụ aha gị n'otu ndị Igbo otu ndị nkuzi Igbo? Lady. Eje eje, agaghị aga, adịghị mma. Ọ bụrụ na ị dere otu a, kọọrọ onwe gị aka. Ka ị kọọrọ ha n'aka. Right. Gịnị mere anyị ji nwee eje eje, agaghị aga, adịghị mma si na ọ dị n'otu a ka o kwesịrị ka edee ya? Nke mbụ, ejeghị abụghị ejeghị. Ama m na anyị na-abịa na ihe gbasara ụdaolu na anyị ga-eme ụdaolu ebe a mgbe na-adịghị anya. Ejeghị abụghị anyị ga-eme ụdaolu ebe a mgbe na-adịghị anya. Ejeghị abụghị ejeghị. Ole dị mma, ndewo nne m. All right. N'ihi gịnị? Ụdaolu na-enye aka na mgbe ọ bụ nnọchiaha maọbụ mgbe ọ bụ ma mgbe ọ bụ nganiru. Right. AJ, not going, not moving, not walking, not going. Okay, the same. AJ, which is just one clause. Aga, which is also one clause. Onwehu mgbe ọ sị agaghị. If you look at the structure, adịghị mma, they are all the same. How otu ihe ahụ. Okay? AJ, not going. Aga, not moving, which is the same thing, is not what? Good. Ọ naghị enyere ije aka. It doesn't help when a team is working together and you are not moving forward with the team. Okay? That is it. Each of them, ma AJ, ma aga, ma adịmma, ha niile bụ verbal phrase. Unu chetere the drawing we had. The sentence, noun phrase, and verb phrase. N'izu gara aga. Ahịrịokwu ọbụla dị ota. Ahịrịokwu ngalaba nke aha, ngalaba nke ngwa, sentence, noun phrase, and verb phrase. So n'ihi na ngwa ndị a niile nwere mgbakwunye, nganiru na nsonaazụ, ya nwa ma eji nwee n'ihu ngwa nwee yi n'azụ ngwa. Otu a ka ọ dị na agaghị, otu a ka ọ dị na adịghị mma. Alright, enwere onye nwere ajụjụ na ya? This is good. At least everybody dere ya detere ya. So thank you for your efforts. Okay. Nke is C, the sixth one. It's going to be a long one. Ana m ewepụta ya site na otu egwu agba ochie. Otu onye anyị maara aha ya na-akụ egwu agba ochie, Chef King. Ndewo. Ethan Zeph, you're welcome. All right, I'm lifting this up from a popular old-time religion gospel song. Odubugam okperazo. Agam adịrị gị ndụ is a long one. Odupugam okperazo. Agam adịrị gị ndụ. Now, I want to say this. Obidola onye ọbụla dewe, but I'm going to be talking while you're writing. Odupugam okperazo. Agam adịrị gị ndụ. Ndị na-akụ egwu, ọwenị na-akụ egwu ebe a n'Igbo, gee ntị. Ndị na-akụ egwu so na ndị na-emebiri anyị ka esi ede Igbo. Ma ndị na-akụ egwu na-ede ihe ha na-edepụtara ha na epekele rekọdụ ha, ma ọ bụ onwere ndị na-edere ha ihe ndị ahụ. But if you go on YouTube where you want to listen to Igbo song, or Spotify, or any of these music apps, the way they write Igbo there is when you see it, you begin to cry. Why? I'm not even talking about the lyrics of their song. I'm just talking about the title of the song. I don't know where they're getting that kind of Igbo they're writing from. But it is very, very heartbreaking when you see some things written in Igbo. Odupugam okperazo. Agam adịrị gị ndụ. Ndewo. Odoziakụ Nneka. Lady, odupugam okperazo. Agam adịrị gị ndụ. Ebe a ka anyị ga-amata ndị ụbụrụ ha na-anụ ọkụ n'ihe gbasara nnọchiaha na nganiru. Conceptor Emmy, welcome you. Odupugam okperazo. Agam adịrị gị ndụ. But this is it's sounding interesting, you know. Mara ya ofu na YouTube, ofu na TikTok. Yes. Mara ato odupugam oberazu. Aga m adịrị gị ndụ. Do good. Odupugam oberazu. Aga m adịrị gị ndụ. Ndewonu. Ndị ụbụrụ ha na-anụ ọkụ. Odupugam oberazu. Yep. Nenna. Odupugam oberazu. Aga m adịrị gị ndụ. Okay? Think about 5 or 6 people. Thank you all that are participating. Clap for you. Clap for you. Ndewonu. Appreciate that. Odupugam operazu. All right, let's see it. Right? Ninile de treya unu balere. Okay. I'm not going to write what people wrote. I'm going to write the correct one. Okay? Aga me de otokwe sere de enwe gondi de treya. And then we'll look at it. Obuni dereyota buzo kugodro onwe aka first. Okay? Obuna ihe a ka idere kọrọ onwe aka. Okay. Now, questions will be ringing in your head. If you didn't write it, if you separated the O from dupugam, okay, or you read this together, then agamedea also in this way. And I'm concerned only with the first two, okay? Odupugam oberazu. Do good, you're not supposed to. All right, kaile yanya nkembu. Okay, let me start from Kabo. All they allowed is permitted for you to write it this way if you are looking at the name, whether it's a title name, a given name. You are permitted to write it this way. So, mmadụ nwere ike ịza ihe a ka aha. So, ọ bụrụ na ọ bụrụ aha mmadụ, it becomes permitted for you to bring the first person plural and first person pronoun. Dekọta ya ọnụ. Okay? The same is functional here. Oberazu can be written together if it is a name. Okay? I know that oburu aha mmadụ zara odupugam oberazu. The question might be, how about we write it all together? You can also write it all together, dupugam oberazu, but the question now will be the technicality. Does it promote understanding? Only dekota hani lonu. Oga ye make awata here. Okay? That is something that will, okay, it's better we separate it for consistency's sake. Now, uzombum jideya odupugam oberazu is the more correct way. Obonoboyaha. Even though here there is a name implication. Let's look at the first one. Why do we have O together with dupugam when everything about what we know about O tells us that it is a pronoun? Why? Onyeko Zurula, which is a one name. And this name, I know the person that has this name very well. And this is how they write it, Onyeko Zurule. Thank you, Seku Foods, for giving that example where we can write, Imaha, Nenyerayaka, it permits us to write a sentence together. Then, so long as someone understanding, or naemeka ngota ya, nwensobu. All right. Now, Nwafọ Igbo ga-ajụzi onwe ya sị, ebe kemgbe anyị na-amụ nnọchiaha, anyị sị na ị ga-edesarịrị nnọchiaha o maọbụ ọ. You're going to have to write it apart from the verb. So why do we write it together here? Kedu onye ma the answer? I expect that somebody, onye detere ya, should know the answer. Why? In this case now, why do we write it together? Let me hear from you, everybody. Kedu ihe ma ga-eji ede odupụgam dịka otu mkpụrụ okwu? Kedu onye maara ya? Ihe niile anyị na-amụ ebe a na-asị anyị nnọchiaha o na ọ a na-edesa ya edesa. You don't write it together with the verb. Maka nnọchiaha na-eso ngwa ahụ. Okay? Okay. That is one idea. Maka nnọchiaha na-eso ya. Oh, okay. Beatrice, okay. Beatrice is asking, is it because of the pronoun? Which pronoun, Beatrice? Yeah, in the YouTube, we're very sorry, we cannot change the mirroring of the board. So you just use your sense and understand it. I think the question, Beatrice, you are asking is the answer that Do Good is providing, right? If I understood you well. And when you also Maraya or that has an idea, can you make this a decota odupugam ono? Alright, and a decota ha madu ono. Okay, Mareba obuhi aha madu bua. Nke abụọ aha mmadụ Chinwe, nke abụọ aha mmadụ, mana nke mbụ abụghị aha mmadụ per se. It is not a given name. Okay? Odupugam okpere azụ. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, the reason I gave in the first place that we write names together and also have additional example with Onyeko Zorule, which is good. All right, okay, let me answer the question. Na otasusu Igbo in advanced Igbo grammar or grammatical learning. Enwe ụzọ a na-esi emebe okwu. There's one of the ways we form words, which is called anyị mara onye na-edu na onye a na-edu. Okay, lady, thanks for the emailer maka ọsịsa gị. Mana nkọwa ya bụ na asụsụ Igbo na ụtọ asụsụ Igbo enwere otu ụzọ ọ bụ na akọwa ka esi emebe okwu when we are looking at how we form words. If you are good in the area of morphology, one of the things that you learn is how we form Igbo words. And when a word that is formed can leave one aspect of the classes of word and get into another aspect. Mgbe okwu imebere, coinage, yeah, vocabulary expansion and all of that. Okay, word formation primarily. Okay, don't worry, Beatrice. I am going to I will explain everything. The complexity. I know that, yes, this is a little bit problematic. And this is why we're spending time on this. Now, otu ụzọ a na-eji emebe okwu a na-akpọ gerund. Kedu ndị nụgoro maka gerund? Ọ bụ asụsụ Bekee. Ndị Igbo enweghị ya. So they also, coin it gerund. Okay? So we don't have the equivalent of it. All right. Okay. So reduplication of the verb root. So gerundive words gerundive words are coined from verbs, even in English. An example of a gerundive word in English is building. Building is a verb as well as a noun. When you are building, which is the action of erecting a house. You also have a building by the time you finish your work, right? It is an aspect called gerund. N'asụsụ Igbo, the way we form gerunds is by bringing the pronoun and the verb together. So that's one time. And the only pronoun that serves this purpose, nembo, o or o. The other pronouns are not qualified in forming gerunds. So, how did we come about odupugam? Onye na-edupuga. Onye na-edupuga. That is the phrase or the clause, not phrase. Thank you, lady. Onye na-edupuga. So we don't want to go to onye abonye na-edupuga, the person, okay? Right. Igbo has a way of making it become one word. And for that to happen, the law, the rule of writing the pronouns separately will be broken. O and O, the gerunds of Igbo language, yes. So they have to break the law of writing the pronoun O and O apart. You have to break that law. And that's where you have Obubu, Ororo. This now is coming from, like, we are getting the example from Useku food. When you form the gerund, you reduplicate. This is a different thing altogether. Before reduplication, you can form the gerund. So before you get to Obubu, what you have first is what? Obu. Obu. And who is Obu? Obu what? Okay? I don't want to say the word in English so that TikTok doesn't think like we are doing something bad here. Okay. So I will say Obu ano. Obu ano, which is what? A butcher. Odupuga is the abbreviation of Onye na-edupuga. Thank you, Beatrice. That's it. Onye na-edupuga is Odupuga. It becomes a noun formed from a verb. So the pronoun and the verb will not have to come together. Because dika anyị hụrụ na ọmụmaatụ onye ka o zurula. Onye ka o zurula is a full sentence, question sentence. Asking a question. If you write it separate, you know how it goes. But because Igbo noun permits you to now fuse it together because it's a noun, you now have onye ka o zurula. So Odupugam is an example of aha emebere site na Nnọchiaha na ngwa. The same goes to Okperazo. And that is also whereby you now are permitted to write Okperazo together. Because it's a noun, even though it is not a name of a person. Even here, it's a noun now. Because it is a gerundive noun. We have Obu, Oba, Oba agene, Oba ball, Oba egu, Oko, Oko egu, Oko nkwa. You know, so we have these gerundive nouns. Now, for us to now also make it about a non-person noun. Remember, a person noun that is from the gerund is like Obu, Oba. Noun agents, my dear, thank you. They are called noun agents. So for us now to make it a non-person noun, you now get obubu, ọgbụgba. Ọgbụgba agbara ụnyaahụ. Ogbugbu egburu nwoke ahụ ije ụwa. Beatrice ije ụwa. Okay, so ọgịga anyị gara, ojije ejere, they are all nouns. Then you form them now by repeating part of the noun, infusing additional syllable. Okay, then a different kind of noun emerges. That is the only reason I went to odubugam operazo as one word, one word. Agama deregendo, of course, you know how that how that should be written. Beatrice, is it odotolanya somehow? Do you still have any confusion? Any question? One of the in word formation, noun agents, and in here on a thumb. Okay. So Nena, the meaning in English, I gave an example to say building. Okay, building is a noun derived from the verb building, and as much as the functionality as it is in English is not the same in Igbo, but an example of that is when you are building, to build a house, you are erecting a house. Okay. Okay, thank you, Nana. All right. Okay, the meaning of the phrase, Odupugam Uberazo, is somebody that sends me in the front and backs me up. That's what it means. And that's a name, Etutaha. Onye guregwahu, nyere Chineke. When Igbo na-asị onye nna ya dinyere ohi na-eji ụkwụ agbawa ụzọ. Okay? So you know that you have a backing. So you do whatever you want to do with impunity in the positive. I don't mean negative. You do whatever you want to do, with every confidence because you have a backing. And the backing innumerable, a higher force, a higher power that is telling you, go, I'm with you. Okay? That is why we like when we refer to God in our communication with him as those who believe in God, you kind of speak with confidence that, oh, this is my father and I should speak with him, in confidence. So onye na-edupugam n'ihu ya nọrọ n'azụ, because he is watching over me. That's what that word is. All right. Okay, we are going to be wrapping it up here. I genye the last example, then we'll begin to wrap it up. Please, if you still have a question, let me know if you have a question. Okay, all right. If anything is not very clear, please, ana m ekele ndị niile na-esonye anyị ebe a taa. Cheta no n'ụbọchị Friday na anyị ga-agbakọkwa ebe a ịmụ ihe gbasara ilu Igbo. Unfortunately, it's around 2 a.m. in Nigerian time. That's when the class will happen. But if you are awake, join us. It's going to be around 2 or 2:30 a.m. And then on Saturday, I ga be able ịkụ ekwe n'ihu akwụkwọ n'ihe gbasara ụfọdụ mmehie anyị na-eme mgbe a na-aga ọjị. So if you are a mother and you are a father, your child is supposed to be very close to these programs we are having, because Karicha Sending Kuzi, when we did the workshop at Jibwe, the first you people saw the kind of teachings that we had in that workshop, pointing to the fact that anya agafego n'oge mmadụ ga-atụrụ gasị na-enwe ebe Jibwe n'ihi gịnị asụsụ anyị bụ otu n'ime ihe ndị ga na-ahụ na ama social media na ihe niile eji arụ ọrụ ugbu a. people ndị mmadụ a na-akpọzi ha ọrụ n'ogo dị elu n'ihi gịnị na ha ma Igbo. Na ma enwe ndị ọzọ ma enwe mmadụ abụọ ndị anyị maara taa a na-anụ aha ha ebe niile n'ihi gịnị Igbo. Nwa amadi nke tụgharịrị akwụkwọ edere akwụkwọ fiziks edere n'Igbo ka o mechara ihe ahụ pịam o nwetara agụmakwụkwọ n'efu n'ala bekee tinyere nwanne anyị nwaanyị nke na-akụzi na Harvard. It is more like on learning Igbo than learning it. Thank you for that. It is seriously like on learning to learn. N'ihi gịnị dịka anyị nọ na-ekwu n'Omenka app, one of the areas that is touching our soul and heart is that Igbo is really being butchered in terms of how people write Igbo, and this is something we want to correct. So here I will always open up. Primarily we started this class for ndị nkuzi ndị na-akụzi Igbo, but this is a class that is very beneficial for everybody, because I do not see how a person who will stand just like I'm standing to teach and I do not know the basic things of what I'm teaching. One of the popular scriptures I like to quote is what is said in Timothy chapter 6, study to show yourself approved. You know, when you are there to disseminate information about something, you should have it at your fingertip to a large extent. I won't but at least the areas I know it too well to, you know, be able to pass on the knowledge. So ọ bụrụ na ndị niile na-akpata Igbo aka n'ihe niile ha na-eme n'ụbọchị ha na ndụ ha know how to write Igbo, we are going to be very much better. Empty talk. We've missed you in the class today. All right. It's been fun, empty talk. You're welcome. The last one, while you have your question, please, you ask. All right. Amayama boyengo punyiwu. Repete. All right. Amayama aboyengo punye iwu. Aina no career. Ndewo empty talk. Ndewo nam. Yeah, ihe bụ okwu anyị na-anọkarị na bekee. Eche m na anyị na-eji ike ekwu ya n'Igbo. Ya ka m chọrọ ka anyị dee. All right, everybody, let's go. Amaghị ama abụghị ngọpụnye iwu. Ndewo ndị niile apịrị anyị aka n'egwe, ndị na-emetụrụ anyị aka n'akara ịhụnanya. We appreciate you. Ahụrụ m na ikuku na-ebupụ ndị mmadụ na-ebubatakwa ha. It's unfortunate. Yeah, if your network is not stable, see people going and coming. All right, let's get on with it. Amayama abụghị ngọpụnye iwu. Do good. Amayama abụghị ngọpụnye iwu. Otu onye agbaala mbọ ide ya. Amayama abụghị ngọpụnye iwu. Odoziakụ Chinwe. Ndewo. Dịka ị na-ede ya, dere m ụka akpara akpa isi ka eji ekwe ya. Amayama abụghị ngọpụnye iwu. Nke ya na ya so ụka akpara akpa isi ka eji ekwe ya. Ọ bụrụ na ị na-agbalị ide ihe a, ị ga na-akụtụkwa onwe gị aka n'obi na ịmatụkwa Igbo, weda ma idetechara ya ma nwere ebe isi dejọtụ ya. N'agbanyeghị, ị ga na-etu onwe gị aha. Ịmakwa ndị ahụ. Amayama abụghị ngọpụnye iwu. Do good and Chinwe. Ndewo. Ndị ọzọ. Then nke abụọ ya, ụka akpara akpa isi ka eji ekwe ya. Ka anyị chịkọta ha abụọ ọnụ ma kọwaa ha ebe ahụ. Amayama abụghị ngọpụnye iwu. Ụka akpara akpa isi ka eji ekwe ya. Yap. Hey guys, yeah. Oh, you are welcome. You came late. Welcome you. All right. It's been fun in the house. Amayama abụghị ngọpụnye iwu. Nke abụọ, ụka akpara akpa isi ka eji ekwe ya. Yeah, who is writing that one? Seen two people write the first, and we're looking at the second. So why did empty talk? Yeah, it's okay. Thank you, brother. Ndewo. Ụka akpara akpa isi ka eji ekwe ya. Anyị ahụgo onye mbụ dere ya. Yep. Let's go. We have a few minutes left. All right. Yeah, who else is bringing that on? Okay, let me write the first one while I wait for the second one. Ofonye degoro ya. Ụka akpara akpa isi ka eji ekwe ya. Ndewo empty talk. Kedu onye ọzọ na-ede? Ụka akpara akpa isi ka eji ekwe ya. Lady. Ndewo. Enwere onye ọzọ tupu m dee ya? Amaghị ama ụka akpara akpa. Amaghị ama. Chinwe, ụka akpara akpa isi ka eji ekwe ya. All right, anyone more? Ndị niile dere, ndị niile gbalịrị unu agbalịala, ndewo unu emeela. Ndewo. Okay. Ka anyị dee nke ahụ. Nke abụọ ya. Ụka. I must tell you this. Do good. Ndewo. Beatrice. Amayama abụghị ngọpụnye iwu. Ndewo. A sentence like this, ịhụrụ ahịrịokwu a, can pose a great problem for an average person who wants to write Igbo. Okay? Ahịrịokwu dị otu a can be very problematic. That you got it correctly, it's fine. Okay? This one is a little bit simpler. But yeah, to my, opinion, is a potential problem sentence. All right, let's look at them. Why? First of all, Ayamatana, amayama comes from a verb phrase, like we see here. Okay? And neighbor, amai, is not talking about a person who do not know. Awo na ibia tuwariwa ya na bekee. Ihe ọ bụ pụtara gịnị? Ignorance. Amayama is ignorance. So it is not a person we do not know that does not know. Okay? So obo na obo amayama, which on its own now, ndewo neka, which on its own now is a verb noun, a verbal noun. Yeah, sincerely, for the past how many weeks we've been learning this. So I decided that today we're just going to be testing ourselves with, sentences that but to write them is a problem. Like an average Igbo speaker will easily say any of these things, but then I don't know. Because ideya awuruzie ihe na-ese okwu. And like you said, on learning to learn, to relearn, is a process that we think here will help all of us in a way that we are, approaching Igbo language. Sincerely, like we have Otundi Nkuzi Igbo, where we write only in Igbo, right? It is my opinion that a lot of people na dodgy because they don't want to be judged that they wrote incorrectly. I used to be in another Otu Otu Owandi Igbo. It's also the same. People feel the group, but they don't write. So, and that is one of the huge issues with learning a language. Okay, it is really easier to write English, and the problem with that is also because we were colonized with the English language, so we take it for granted. And the other aspect of this, that is the reason we are going to be having a conference with social media content creators very soon in the next month. So if you are here, you are a social media content creator, and you are an Igbo person, you promote Igbo language with your content. We are going to be having a conference very soon in the next month, and we expect that you please register to attend. And in with the flyer, it's also going to be important for you to share it amongst people that will benefit from it. So, nke na emerụ anyị ahụ so much about the aspect of those who now create content with Igbo infusing the incorrect form of Igbo in what they do. And some of the times you might approach them to correct them, they tell you, say, no, it's not true. Take, for instance, the issue of writing N and M together in Mma and Chidimma and all of those things that are going on in people's names today generates a lot of discussions. So many people that have these names written this way, you see them defending it, when there's no background to defend it. Because it falls under not just orthography, the writing of Igbo, but rather the phonetics, which is the articulation of Igbo sounds. So Igbo does not support it. Again, the issue, I was speaking with my team in the meeting earlier, the issue of today, people greeting Ụtụtụ ọma, Ehihie ọma, Abalị ọma, which has become almost the order of the day, approved by WAEC, is also another problem. You tell people, this is not a traditional greeting in Igbo language. They seem to argue it. Some of them say, okay, yeah, it has come to stay. Why don't you use it? The question is, why do we go borrowing when we have the original? Why would we go converting when we have the traditional? Yeah, I mean, it's not, completely wrong. Okay, Beatrice is asking a question about dialectal writing. So first of all, Obuni, the people that have much of a problem in bringing dialects in the writing of Igbo language are mostly people who speak Anambra dialect, Enugu dialect. And we know where the problems are in the use of L and R, N versus L, in some words. I know we are, like, one of the things we are going to discuss is that in the conference, the issue of bringing dialects in the writing of Igbo language. I am one of those that proposes that speak your dialect if you know your dialect, but write the standard Igbo. To the best of your knowledge that you know the standard, write the standard. Because when a language is in a written form, it comes to that written form in the standard format, or is expected to in the standard form. The reason for that is, if we are all allowed to write our dialects, there's not going to be any pattern in the writing of the language. Everybody's dialect will become the best or better one. Okay? Mma, yes, my brother, knife is MMA, me. Now, while that is an ongoing argument, people who speak more of the Anambra dialect feel that, why don't you write your dialect? How about only on half your dereg dialect? How about only ngwa mobonye mbise? Okay? How about every one of us begin to write our dialect? Who will understand the other? So that is why, even in speaking Igbo language, linguists have what they call mutual intelligibility. You should speak in a way that you create understanding across the Igbo nations. It is unfortunate that today, a lot of people assume their political identity given to them by political terrain than their cultural identity in terms of Igbo. So whereby people will say, I'm Delta Igbo, or I'm from Delta, I'm not Igbo. Those are nonsensical political talk. Okay? So long as you are Igbo, asina Igbo na asu n'olu n'olu mana akwa ụkwara ọbụrụ gịnị otu, which means that the dialects make the standard. You are allowed to speak your dialect, but when you want to write, learn to write in the standard. But the problem is, if you are taught in the dialect, even in the written form, it will be difficult for you to know how to write the standard. So this is one of the things we want to really talk about during our conference that is forthcoming. Okay? All right. Thank you for those reactions. Yes. Chidimma, not Chidimma. So empty talk, the first one is not correct. The second one is correct. It is mimea, ma, abo na gakota, not n and m. They don't go together articulatorily, okay? The Igbo does not permit you to pronounce n, m together. They don't go. But when the n is, possibly when the n is mirudume in some occasions, they can co-occur. This has formed some level of conversation na otundi nkuzibo, whereby we look at the co-occurrence of n and, nwe as a sound when we wanted to talk about nwale and all of those, but that's beyond the conversation here today. All right. So, amayama bo ignorance. And so that qualifies it to be so, like what I said, Beatrice, Omenka app supports you should speak your dialect if you must speak your dialect, but write the standard Igbo. That is our position. Okay? In writing Igbo, write the standard. Speak your dialects because the dialects must live. They are not supposed to die. But when you see yourself in an environment where the dialects are more spread, try to create mutual intelligibility by coming closer to the standard. And why are you doing that? You are doing that because you want to make sure that everybody understands you. Now, it's a matter of communicating than a matter of showing that, oh, my dialect is superior to the others. Of course, no dialect is superior to the other. Okay, so our position is speak your dialect, write the standard. So this confusion has been around, especially I was present live when Chinua Achebe, our Igbo guru in literature, delivered a paper that was really projecting just the dialect, and what that paper lacked was the emphasis on the speaking versus the written form of the language. Yes, that's what we are looking at. So in Omenka app, because we are using text and audio together, we are concentrating our efforts on only the standard. But there's something we're building in Omenka app, which especially on the word section, again at the word section, you are supposed to be able to see whatever word that is pronounced and also written in the standard, you can provide us with a dialectal version of it. That is going to be user-based, whereby if you are a dialect of Ohafia, like I mentioned, if you see that we wrote the Igbo greeting as Ndewo and No, you know that your own greeting is excluded. So we are going to be providing a column where a person will go in there and provide what you greet and how you greet. And we are doing it like what we see in the Atlas of Languages that is built by UNESCO. So that is the one interesting aspect of the app that we're building at this moment. But currently, both our voicing and our written form, we are concentrating on the standard. All right, there we go. Okay, so amayama aboye ngopo. This is also a verb, aboye. It doesn't have a pronoun, so ayedeksa anything. Nye iwu, that's ignorance is not an excuse to the law. That's what it said. Now, oka a para apa, a para apa. Kedu onye para di oka? A para di oka. Watch the next apa here. The next a that comes here is written together. Why? Because it's a prefix. Because the verb on about okay. So this is something that only your brain, the brain of a native speaker, is the thing that will tell you this. It is really, really, really difficult. Even me, that I'm teaching it, it's difficult like to teach it. Because at this point, if a person is confused about what we're discussing, I find it difficult to have other vocabulary, other ways of like explaining it, other than like saying iga watarere. You need to have the basic understanding that this is a pronoun versus this is a prefix. And if you have not gotten to that level of that understanding, you will continue to make mistake in doing this. Okay? No, so see, take empty talk. Just remove it from your mind that N and M can be written together in English. I'm sorry, in Igbo language. Okay? The co-occurrence of N and M does not happen. So so in morphology, that's what we call productivity. Okay? Productivity is whereby you see frequency of occurrence of a particular form of a word. So in sounds, N and M do not come together. It's just like Igbo does not permit two consonants, just what the two consonants to co-occur, unless one consonant is functioning as mirudume, which is what is it called again? Semi-vowel. Mirudume. So that's the only time it can occur. But even with N and M, even if one has to, so there is also little occurrence of where you see N working as in Yurudume there with only M coming after it. But you can see syllabic nasal, my sister. You can see where N comes and followed by another in Yurudume as well, which is Nwe or Nyi or something like that. All right. Okay, so Eba Obua, I was saying that at this point, I don't even know what other word I will use to explain to you why this is as apart and this is together, other than to say, just know that this is, yes. Which is saying Unjurudume is another Wahala. Exactly. A lot of Wahala there for Igbo language anyway, but, you know, we are getting there. So just know that, first of all, this is a pronoun, okay? And that knowledge will guide you to know that this is a verb. And if you were in my last week's class, when I was explaining this, I was careful. I tried me Gawa to the academic, you know, arguments and everything, but it was important for me to draw the tree diagram to help us understand. Mgbe English in secondary school, even primary, the basic thing they used to do for us is this. That what I did the last time, which is subject predicate. Okay, every sentence has a subject and predicate. And I tried to explain it in other way to say what you see on the subject is a noun. Okay, but that noun shoots down from noun phrase, the NP. That is what linguists draw as a diagram. Then what you see under predicate is a verb, and that verb shoots down from the verb phrase. And when you now have the verb phrase, you know that verb phrase will also have the first node as a noun and as a verb, and then the other node as a noun phrase. That's to tell you that a noun still comes after the verb, and that noun now is what? The subject. So when we guys say Emeka nyere Ugonna ego. Emeka nyere Ugonna. If I stop there, Emeka is the subject. Verb comes as nyere. Ugonna is the object. Now we have another object there, which is also the object that is the object of giving. So there is a giving done by the subject, and the receiver, Onyennara, is the object, which is Ugonna. And what did Ugonna receive? Ego, which is also another noun. So that explains why we have noun phrase at the back of the verb, and the verb is the head of the verb phrase, followed by a noun phrase. And if you go to split it the more, this noun phrase got other particles that we're not interested at this primary level. But I just want us to bring back our knowledge of Ihakuzirayena, primary and secondary. Every sentence is dividable into two, subject and predicate. Whatever comes at the predicate level is something we can continue to talk about today. But the subject alone is the MP, which is a noun phrase that shoots down as the noun, as the head. Right, so uka paraba isika e g kwen ya. So you see why I'm just saying that this is a problem sentence, okay? And when the presence of two Nnọchiaha, the fourth person, when the presence of two verbs that have prefixes that look like Nnọchiaha. So it becomes only your native speaker's intuition, native speaker's knowledge rather, that will enable you to really, really know where to place this A and A and A and A. But I'm glad that a lot of people dereya. But this is what comes up every day when we're writing. Now, if you are a teacher of Igbo language, even if you are writing fast, okay, all I am going to ask you is slow down when it comes to sentences like this. Become aware, become consciously aware that sentences like this can put you into trouble. Abona enwe a person that knows what you are talking about. Also, become aware that sentences like this can create a problem in the head of your students if you do not handle it well. So you need to slow down to ask yourself, in this sentence, Nnọchiaha onye anọ. That is my own term about this Nnọchiaha, okay? Nnọchiaha amaghị onye ọ bụ. Enwere nganiru na the ngwa. Yes, enwere ha abụọ. So for the two of them, Nnọchiaha must stand on its own. Nganiru must be attached to the verb. So that makes our correct sentence. Ajụjụ. This gets excited every time. Asụsụ Igbo bụ akpụ, ezigbote akpụ. Ndewo. Beatrice. Yes, sincerely, I mean, mụ na gị abụọ nwere ike anyị amachaghị ka o si arụ ọrụ in so many other languages, like African languages, other than English. This is not, these things we're talking about, English doesn't have it. Even though English has its own problem of, spellings and pronunciations. It's different. This is completely different. Like, this is something that you can make a mistake about it without even knowing that you made a mistake in writing the sentences. But I want you with the basic knowledge of this is how it works. Okay, nyere ga aka na ime mistake. Thank you. You will understand, that yes, I made a mistake. Okay? And that's what I am trying to get us to. The point whereby Obo na idejọ ya. Aya aghọta na idejọrọ ya. Okay? Or aya marasi lekwe otu ekwesịrị iji dee ya. Obo na mmadụ kpọrọ uche anyị ga ebe, oh, sorry, this is how it was supposed to have been written. Then, gị marakwa the reason you are writing it, or you're supposed to write it that way, as opposed to the other way somebody else would have written it. Okay? So, ọ bụrụ na mmadụ bi ebe a dee ụka akpara akpa dekọta ọnụ, you know, just like this. Now, gị nwa gasị, oh, n'idezi ya, are you able to tell them the reason that he dezi ya? Are you able? So, if you are not able, that means you do not have a grip of it. So, our class here is to bring us to that level of knowledge where we are able to explain this is not correct and this is why it's not correct. Okay? And that comes from when you are able to understand the function of these little words. Okay? Okay? Oh yeah, the little ones. They are the ones that are giving us problem here. Like, it is easy for you to understand that oka, excuse me, now oka will a noun. Okay? It is oh, oka, what is it? What part of speech is it? Yeah, you can understand it very easily that oka will a noun. It's easy for you to understand, oh yeah. Para is a verb. Okay? But when it has come to apa, what is it? Again. Or neighbor, what is it again? And ag and all of that. Ekwe. So these are the problems we face. All right. So this has been beautiful. Ana me kelende niile tinyere ya aka n'akara ịhụnanya, both on YouTube. It has been very lively. Beatrice, Neka, thank you all that are really actively learning on the YouTube. And a lot of you, Empty Talk, thank you. Reza, this is Success, Sally, Lady, Do Good, Shinwe, you all are awesome, very awesome. Thank you. Those that joined us also a little bit late. And Tasha, appreciate you. Now on Friday, like I mentioned, Ndiomenka app ne another class, which is they want them. Yeah. And again, also, this helps us to become ambassadors for what we are talking about. Okay, the correctness of Igbo language. You know, like I said before, the areas where people claim professionals, but their professionalism step into the professionalism of other people, but they don't want to know that as much as they are professional labor, you just need a professional in this other aspect. Okay, I remember a recent TV broadcast that happened between Arise TV anchor Rufai and the Minister of Works, where the Minister of Work, Nona TV, claimed more a professor of road construction, you know, Rateko and all of that. They will do good. Thank you. So sometimes we see ourselves, because we're professional in one aspect, we try to claim professional in another aspect, especially as it concerns Igbo language. Okay, because we're all Igbo speakers, even those that learned from outside in the Amoro na la beke no zibeke, you know, who know little, but they know as much as they can be proud of. Sometimes we really claim that we know more than those who have studied this again and again and are able to tell you the function of every word. So why I'm saying is that if you are a promoter of Igbo language, or whatever you do has to do with Igbo, the extent to which you know, recognize the extent to which you don't know, and at that point seek the assistance of a person that knows. Okay, like so many of us think in English first, and that's another problem we have. By the time you are converting it to Igbo, it becomes a problem because you do not know how to change the meaning and the content of the translation you're making. So, but where we are today, I want to be consistent in coming to class and learning this. I pray, I really hope that in no distant time, we will become the ambassadors. People who are going to be writing the correct Igbo on our social media or any other place that we communicate with Igbo, and others will begin to learn. Okay, and at the end of the day, it becomes contagious. Those who did not know will pay attention to some certain things. The other aspect in the Goku finally is the awareness, the consciousness of, oh, this is not reading correctly. If you have not gotten to that point, you need more training. And this is a place you can learn, since we've been trying to be consistent in providing this knowledge here. And it's free of charge. For those who want to learn Igbo deeper, we have a paid class that you can commit to. Okay, it's on our website, www.i-hav.org. You can go there and register for our paid Igbo class. Okay, then like I was saying on Friday, Sorai Emokesia Aghọta Ilu Igbo. Ilu Igbo Demba, they are almost as important as the Igbo grammar. Okay, the time is here it is EST 8:30, and then I think with the new time change it's gonna be 2:30 in Nigeria, for that class. Then on Saturday, like I mentioned, I'm inviting a guru in the knowledge of Oji and the mistakes we make in when we break Oji, okay, the kola nut. So many of you are joining me from other countries that are not Igbo land. I appreciate you so much. And the AI world is fast approaching. We don't know what it's bringing, but we know that AI is built on English language today, and the domination of AI translates into the domination of other languages by English language. Already we are still suffering from internet and all of that, and AI has come whereby you just tell Oma na internet, do this for me, and it will just do it in a second. Okay, so if we're going to get to the point where AI will speak Igbo, well, I do not know, but let's take it one at a time. Our languages must live and stay even in the social media era, even in the AI era. It is very, very important. Yes, Omenka app, we will be getting there, and that is also like the problem we're having, Beatrice. If the people who do not know, because I've gone to Wikipedia, during my very active research in sign languages, I have contributed to Wikipedia, corrected some things that people wrote about sign languages, which are not correct. Okay, my primary area of research has been the sign languages, and I document local and indigenous signing systems. So that is also what happens in Igbo. If you want Google to do things for you in Igbo, it will mess everything up. People feed Google with those things that are not correct. Google did not pick it up from the ground. So if you have the wrong feeding, that's what people are going to assess. People who want to learn Igbo will go learning those nonsense that I put there. But if we know the correct thing and we have access to Wikipedia and all of those, we make the corrections. Okay, so that's the reason we're doing this. So Ilu Igbo is an aspect that we're very, very, very concerned with. Okay, because the deep knowledge of Igbo language starts with understanding Ilu Igbo. The fear of Ilu Igbo is the beginning of wisdom. And if you all want Igbo Kebo, ima Ilu Igbo, sobodekwa. Igamana urata gekwa. So thank you everybody who stayed put till this time. Remember to be in class early next Monday. For those that came late without excuses, you come and see me in my office and receive your punishments. Empty talk is not among those, because empty talk is give excuse. Empty talk is not based in Anambra. So, all right. Thank you all. In the absence of any other thing, I hereby declare that today's class has been successful, and I appreciate a whole lot of you that made it very successful. And let's engage the more as much as we can and make this program more popular, please. And God will help us in promoting our language. Ụmụafọ Igbo ya dịrị unu mma. Chukwu nyere anyị aka n'ihe niile nke anyị na-agba mbọ ya. Karịchasịa ime ka klaasị agbasago nne m. Ọ dịkwa mkpa ka anyị gụọ anyị agbasago akwụkwọ. Unu mana akwụkwọ na-atọ ụtọ mana ọ na-ara ahụ na mmụta. Ndị niile bịara nụ Chukwu gọzie unu. Ụbọchị nta ka anyị chọọ unu n'Owere nchi nke ga-abụ Friday, Saturday na Monday na-abịa abịa. I hope to see all of you alive and in that class. Thank you, Beatrice. Thank you so much for your contributions. All right, here we go.